Well, I'm right around the corner from the fucking jail. Look at this. Isn't it interesting? Just gonna take a nice walk through the Legal Grandmas Association, which is just where all the lawyers are, but you would think it was just where grandmas lived, right? But no, it's a bunch of houses that are lawyers' offices. It's really strange. It looks pretty, but it's got this strange undertone to it. Just walking through this place. But we're not there yet. We're over by like the jail and stuff. Like the back end of it where they throw you out into the alleyway. Like maybe with no shoes or clothes or nothing, you know? So, fucking, you did your time. Now it's time to put you to death. That's kind of Vegas, how they handle prisoner rights. I mean, I'm not saying they'll put everyone to death. They'd love to say, well, you, luckily, are like loaded with money we didn't care about because, well, we just wanted you for the crack or something, you know. You just beat some guy in the street, right? And you have like $2,000 on you or something. They'd love to say that. So, be like, you are not being put to your death. And then you run free, right? Where can I buy a cheap moped, right? And he's like, same place I could buy a real cheap car. And he whips out his smartphone that they let him grab from his house before he went to jail because he like hit his mom or something.
Wait.
I don't know. That's a weird mixed metaphor because that's two different people. Check out all these cars though. They're really hoping you can't hear a fucking thing I just said. I hate everyone. It's righteous as fuck, man. Even this car. Like, this car is just like, oh yeah, you hate everyone? Well, buddy, guess what we do with hate? It expands and it grows with our tasteful botany. It's like, pray. Really, you really gotta wait, man. Like, you're not waiting, no matter what you're doing. You're not waiting enough. Fuck. Look at that. That's the first one, so they think I'm like full of shit. But look right next to it, right? Clarity, man. It's honesty. And clarity, man. People don't believe when someone's telling the truth and they just fucking treat it like bullshit. It's because they don't have the clarity to even know why they should care. To actually use clarity even. Like, just gain some clarity. So they just think you're lying and they fucking beat you up. But I told you, there's a bunch of lawyers' offices built into fucking grandma houses. It's weird. Was a chess. Then writer's block, right? It's like, oh man, what if you weren't immune to Down syndrome? That's what the bird wants to know. If you could just be stricken with it, like one day. You just wake up in bed, like, fuck, I got Down syndrome. I must have not cooked the fucking potatoes right, or something. God damn it. They're like, don't blab about it until you have to because the people demand it, right? And you just sense it. Be honest with yourself. If you watch fucking Comedy Central roast of your goddamn nervous system, I mean, let's be honest. Fuck. It's Vegas, man. We all know what's going on. The diggery-do, we dig our holes with, man. It's like a vacuum. Or an angry mouth. Clarity, though. What do you think about clarity, guys? Fuck. I would say I'm an asshole, but what would someone else do in that situation? Would they make a smart-ass remark, or would they chuck their phone at your face even though you're through the screen? shit you learn from, like, compassion for others, right? It's like, one thing you know, no one deserves a goddamn thing from your ass just because you do that. Shit. S Street. Oh, S7th. Look, you know what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to buy beer and get drunk before I go back to the fucking bullshit homeless shelter where I sleep. Collapse, if I can. Sleep for about 4 hours, get screamed at by guards to wake up and go take a nap in the dirt 30 feet away. It's beautiful. I really need those mats gone, man. You don't know what these crackheads will do to you, man. They'll be at home fucking making Campbell's Chunky and shit. And he'll be like, well, for you, man, you buy into this, so it's gonna be hell for you. Fucking security guards. So you better make sure those fuckers are off those mats right when it's least comfortable. In fact, all the sleeping people off. This is what they do. They kick them off in the order strategized to make everyone wake up as just poorly, in a bad mood, wiped out, just tired all over again just because the cop kept talking to them instead of just like being a patient, reasonable person. Which if they were, you know, they just let people sit wherever. You don't really need benches or anything. They're only there for the wicked. Because the benches there, man, you want to see some cursed benches, go to downtown Sin City where everyone's on drugs and on the street because no one likes them. Fucking sit on a bench where they're sitting. I know where to buy some fucking beer now, so it's cool. Ran it through my mind, man. It's like if you can't fucking make the smartest decision on the first thing, then not only will you be lobotomized by me for being undesirable, but also fucking, you'd better do that every fucking time, because if you stop to think about that, fuck, man, is on. Do the first thing you can do. If you get it wrong, you're fucked, and the first thing you do the next time is immediately the only thing they want. This is what we've learned. Thank you, building. Thank you, voice. Birds. It's been a great night. For me, truly. Maybe not for anyone else I've seen. Excuse me. Fuck. Yeah, you can't even see me right now. The darkness has taken over. Four times. So I wonder what you're hearing if you can't see me hardly at all. But here's my face as we get under this light. Woohoo. Ah. Over there is Charleston. I could go there and have a miserable time. So if you're ever in the neighborhood and you want to have a miserable time, you could go right down to Charleston. Like, fucking for misery, man, best place to walk, 2018. In 2019, they replaced it, though. They said, well, fucking right now, we feel this is subjective. Because from an objective standpoint, we actually concluded that they're all fucking horrible and way worse than they were before. So now it's subjective. They've got to go all through the rating system and rearrange the whole list. But they're pretty sure Charleston is like number one as of 2018. Because looking back on things, they had a new perspective, and they started reorganizing 2018 as well. Always happens, man. Many would say I don't need to be making this video at all. I would have said you're right, but then needs are such a callous word in the eyes of other people. I feel like More like just looking at them and saying, I don't need you or anyone or anything really, because if there was absolutely nothing, I wouldn't even be here, and I have no needs because I don't exist. People are instantly like, that's a good point. We think you don't want to exist when you say stuff like that, right? Especially here where everyone's like, ha, bitch! Every time you open your mouth, if they can, possibly. The more they can't, the angrier they get. Frustrating, isn't it? You just stay cheerful like a blushing maiden. Motherfucker, you'll always be the best dude at the party, even if the party says, shut the fuck up. Most likely they'd be kicking you out because you're the best dude in the party. So fucking hardcore. They'd ship you off to just the center of the universe and say, motherfucker, you're the best one to explain what's going on there, so we think you just would break our minds if you went to the center of the universe. I do that probably just because I don't know why else they want to send me to the center of the universe. I can't think of another reason, right? Like, what if we sent this guy into this black hole? Scientists are like, that's funny you should say that, because technically what would happen? We don't even know, because black holes are so heavy, they cause something to move in such ways. We can't measure speed, even perspective. It all gets totally whacked. The guy who's there, we think he's stuck there in eternal pain, being crushed by the weight of the black hole he's flying into, but he's also going so fast that it essentially breaks the mind's ability to even perceive, and also we can't even really look at black holes because of the speed of everything being sucked into their gravity and shit. It makes it so whack that even if we can see the light that's being absorbed by the black hole, which is why they're black, is because we can't see them, we wouldn't even know which light it was, where it is, or really how fast it's going or anything. Because speeds that are that fast, time is relative to speed, right? It's relative specifically to the speed of light. That's basically how we measure speed and time together, is like based on the speed of light. Like how fast will it get here if it's going the speed of light? But if something's going slower than the speed of light, it doesn't go that far into the future as something going the speed of light or faster than the other object. Basically, the faster you are moving, the faster you move through time. Okay? So if they send me into a black hole, I wouldn't say I'm stupid enough to have thought of that part of physics very long, because to sit there thinking about that is a big distraction from teaching you things like, oh, well, did you know the faster you're going, the faster you move through time, and other shit that when you put it all together in this big scientific journal that we call just what's really actual science, makes it so that going really fast, or the fact that time is relative to speed, breaks time as a concept, and as soon as you get it to a point where it's like perceptible, you could easily have the world fall apart in your mind, because to put it simply, when the Big Bang happens, everything's flying at a super fast speed, which means if they hit anything, is going to change what they are in time relative to everything else that didn't hit anything that's still going past them, right? So like now, these two atoms are not only in split time zones when other atoms collide, they're also in many other atoms in different places. Or to each other, they're in different worlds, because time had progressed differently for those two atoms. So technically, you could go in almost any spot in space, and there's the potential that you just broke time and like snapped your whole reality, because there's things that are 2 feet away from you would not be there, and things that if you were over there would be in a cataclysmic spot or something. And there's points where you could be in a point where there's two atoms that are in certain positions where it causes the location of a third thing to not make sense, because to these two different atoms, that thing would be in two different places, and you're right in the spot where like that shit don't make any sense, basically. So yeah, this is a point I've been making. The science just breaks its own concepts all the time, man. Like the idea of the Big Bang as the origination of the universe. That doesn't make sense either, because how the Big Bang happened, according to science, is that all the matter that we even know about was probably in this big-ass, giant, dense black hole that collapsed on itself and set everything flying at mega amazing ultra speeds all over the place in every direction. And after trillions and trillions of years, it grew into basically the universe that we know about right now. Because when everything exploded, most of it was just like gases and energy. But as they got further apart, they started collecting or something, probably because they hit something or whatever. But there's another funny thing, it's dark energy, because scientists noticed something strange when they were measuring the speed at which everything is flying away from where the Big Bang happened, right? They measured that, and they found out that the speed, right, naturally, because of the laws of physics, of everything flying apart, should be getting slower. Everything should be getting slowed down because all the other atoms around them are pulling them back, right? But they're actually speeding up, which means that something has to be pushing them to make them go faster. But we don't know what that is, because the pull of the atoms that are way far away is probably not as great as the denser things that would move slower and have stronger gravity and thus pull them backwards faster than the outside atoms would pull them in. So basically, they concluded the only thing that they could think of that would make sense, and basically, it's technically called a theory that dark matter exists, but this is the kind of thing that makes that theory like pretty much like almost a total fact. Like, they'd probably wind up to be doing what they say. They'd have to teach that in like schools and stuff, and that's like the first step to teaching a kid that science doesn't really make any sense of the universe. It kind of just breaks over and over again their own idea of what's happening. So understanding it is still a lot of fun, because the dank things that it does to your mind and the dank things it involves. I mean, it's really interesting to learn about science, especially if you like how funny it is that everything you learn only breaks what you already know just repeatedly. The more you realize it, the more you realize it's like fucking senseless. But I'm gonna light up this smoke, I guess. So now, the thing you need to be aware of, right? Obviously, ending my life is a priority for many. And you need to know, when I turn off this fucking recording, I'm not going to stop rambling as I'm walking around. In fact, I'll probably turn it on to record more later at like a different point in my whole conversation with whoever is apparently listening, because it's lit. But over there is the Stratosphere. I was trying to go to the Strip with my buddy. I said, we'll stop and get off the bus at the Stratosphere. But he wouldn't believe me. He said, that's not like the Strip, man. Where's like the Strip, and where's all the hot babes? I was like, well, that's like the start of the Strip. But we got off the bus. I was trying to explain what this path is like to him. But he didn't want that. He's like, oh, fuck that. He's like, fucking destroy what you were originally going to say. Pretend you were going to say something dumb. And get back on the bus, because we're going to skip the whole Strip, and fucking I'm just going to be an asshole to you. I'm like, I didn't know all that. He didn't explain that to me upcoming, right? I had to figure that out from being with him. So we did what he wanted, which wound up with us just heading back to the BTC. So I got up, and here I am walking to this freaking store to buy booze. So I'm going to turn the recording off, because I'm probably going to get real ornery, you know? I already told the whole deal about this store right here at the end. You see those white lights, okay? There's usually a sign that there's a store. Basic tips. Just knowing all this shit, right? As very nice. You'd have a much better life. Your worldview would be so pure and happy. And, I mean, everyone else around you seems like useless sometimes because they aren't willing to do that or say something. And it's funny, you start talking like that to someone, like a guy who's got amnesia. He starts doing like fucking, like, well, I'm just gonna make shitloads of mistakes and be a dick about them to you instead of listening to what you said, right? He had amnesia, right? But he said it's like in honor of his amnesia, he decided he's gonna remember like as little as possible. Like, wow, man. Sadly, he's also got kind of like a crud attitude when he's wrong about shit. Like, I know, is it just rebelling against just everything just because you can? In lieu of your philosophy that, like, just forget as much shit as possible, basically. That's what he told me. It's literally his goal of life. So... Alright, this place over here. Alright, they were saying, pretty much just go talk about over there. Because that place right there, if that looks like a cool place to live, and you've been in Vegas for longer than like 20 minutes, man, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? I want to know, because it's obviously way more than you tell me. But, yeah, look at the huge window. Like, I get this huge apartment that's built in this container. Like a Time Splitters, or like fucking Austin Powers bad guy, henchman. I'm like the guy who's backing up Rhino when him and the boys steal Spider-Man's brew from the bar. So, I didn't know there was a bar there. A Battleborn, man. Wish you could be like, yeah, you're cool about it, but no. Fuck. It's different. A Battleborn, man. Means we fucking battle till we die. Bro, my mom, you know what she did right before they cut the umbilical cord, man? She destroyed too many ninja Vikings to fucking count. And just right after that, she went off to fight the Valkyrie princess and just died. Just totally battle-rifically. Anyway, I gotta turn this fucking recording off because they're gonna trip balls if I record them in the store. Who knows? So may you. Goodbye, idiot.